It is a very good evening to you. Welcome. You are watching Newsplus. My name is Marissa Marinda. Let's take a look at tonight's headlines. President Mnangagwa has called on African countries to invest in water harvesting, wastewater recycling and digital monitoring technologies to counter climate change as Zimbabwe and the continent mark Africa Day. The president has mourned the death of opposition activist Linda Musarira, saying her passing is a loss to Zimbabwe's political and civic landscape. Health experts have clarified that lenacapavir is not an HIV vaccine, but a preventative treatment aimed at reducing new infections. We give you more details. And in sport, the Zimbabwe Warriors are ready to take on the Super Eagles of Nigeria in the first semi-final of the Unity Cup in British capital, London, on Tuesday. Now for the news in greater detail. President Emmerson Mnangagwa has mourned the death of opposition politician and civic activist Linda Tsungirirai Masarira, describing her passing as a loss to Zimbabwe's political and civic landscape. In a condolence message he released this afternoon, President Mnangagwa said Masarira's death was a great loss to her family, to the women of Zimbabwe and to the nation at large. Masarira, who died on Sunday, was the leader of the Labour Economists and African Democrats LEAD party and was widely known for her outspoken political activism, advocacy for constitutionalism and calls for national dialogue and unity. The president praised her courage and commitment to national development, saying she remained a bold and outspoken voice in Zimbabwe's political and civic space during challenging periods in the country's history. He said she consistently advocated for dialogue, constitutionalism and national unity at a time when the country needed sober voices. President Mnangagwa also acknowledged Masarira's role in defending Zimbabwe's sovereignty and promoting peaceful political engagements across party lines. He commended her participation in civic platforms, media engagements and the Political Actors Dialogue Pollard, where she advocated for cooperation among Zimbabweans despite political differences. Our condolences do go out to her loved ones. President Mnangagwa has called on African countries to urgently invest in water harvesting, wastewater recycling and digital monitoring technologies as climate change continues to threaten water availability across the continent. In his Africa Day commemorative statement, President Mnangagwa warned that rising temperatures, erratic rainfall patterns and reoccurring droughts are placing increasing pressure on water resources with serious implications for agriculture, industry, energy production and livelihoods. He said innovation, science and technology must become central pillars in strengthening Africa's water security and climate resilience. We give you more on that in the following report.
In his speech, the president said Africa's future development industrialization agenda depends on sustainable water management systems supported by modern infrastructure and homegrown solutions. He urged governments, research institutions, communities and development partners to scale up investments in smart technologies and resilient infrastructure in line with this year's Africa Day theme, assuring sustainable water availability and safe sanitation systems to achieve Agenda 2063.
Innovation, science and technology must become central pillars that support water harvesting, wastewater recycling, solar-powered water systems, and digital monitoring technologies. These solutions must be supported, scaled up, and adopted to the grassroots levels for the benefit of our communities. I urge our institutions of higher learning, research centers, and innovators to continue developing homegrown solutions that respond to Africa's unique challenges.
President Mnangagwa added that improved water security remains critical to achieving food security, economic growth, and sustainable development across the continent, urging Africa to continue investing in homegrown solutions to address the continent's unique challenges. President Mnangagwa described water as a critical ingredient for Africa's industrialization, job creation, and economic growth, warning that demand continues to rise due to population growth, urbanization, and increased needs from agriculture, industry, and energy sector.
For industrialization, job creation, and overall economic growth. Notably, however, water demand is rising owing to rapid population growth, urbanization, and increasing water needs from agriculture, industry, and energy sectors. It is now urgent that the requisite investments be made towards enhancing national and regional availability of water resources. This requires the adoption of innovative solutions, collective responsibility, and partnerships at all levels. The active participation of communities, private sector, development partners, research institutions, youth, and women should therefore be scaled up.
The president added that Zimbabwe remains committed to strengthening water security, modernizing infrastructure, and promoting innovation-driven development through various national initiatives. He also noted that climate-related disruptions to hydrological cycles remain a major concern across the continent.
This year's theme, and I quote, assuring sustainable water availability and safe sanitation systems to achieve Agenda 2063 is both timely and critical to the future of our continent. Water is an essential resource and the lifeblood of our continent's development aspirations. From the mighty Nile River to the Zambezi River, from Lake Kariba and Lake Victoria to the aquifers beneath the Kalahari and the Sahara deserts, water has shaped our civilizations, sustained our peoples.
Currently, agriculture accounts for more than 73% of Africa's water withdrawals, while only 5% of the continent's irrigation potential is being utilized. President Mnangagwa said Africa also has vast untapped hydropower potential that could drive industrialization, energy access, and job creation across the continent. Reporting for ZTN Prime, I am Mirirayan Singo.
Today marks Africa Day, a day that continues to stand as a powerful symbol of unity, liberation, and the collective aspirations of the African continent. As Zimbabwe joins the rest of Africa in commemorating this historic occasion, President Emmerson Mnangagwa has reaffirmed the country's commitment to Pan-Africanism, regional integration, and the African Continental Free Trade Area. This year's commemorations are running under the theme Assuring Sustainable Water Availability and safe sanitation systems to achieve Agenda 2063. But beyond the speeches and official statements, what does Africa Day mean to ordinary Zimbabweans? Our reporter took to the streets of Harare to find out.
Africa Day traces its roots to the formation of the Organization of African Unity in 1963, a moment that marked a turning point in the fight against colonialism and the pursuit of unity across the continent. Decades later, its significance still resonates strongly among Zimbabweans. Some say the day is a reminder of the sacrifices made by African founding fathers and the responsibility to carry forward their vision.
Reflecting on ourselves, where we came from, where we are going. Ubuntu, we're semi-Africans. Our relations, chitariso, unwedu, mararamiro.
As Africa continues its journey towards integration and prosperity, Citizens say Africa Day remains a moment to reflect, celebrate identity, and recommit to a shared destiny.
The day where we can unite as Africans, just enjoy, chill. We are remembering where we come from. We are proud of being, like this year I'm Ndebele, and I'm proud of being Ndebele. Today I decided let me just go full force Ndebele.
Knowledge is helping us, especially ndochunhu chakatikoshera muAfrica, and chiri kushape, it is shaping itself, and we are seeing my development.
From unity and identity to development and opportunity, Zimbabweans say Africa Day is not just a celebration of the past, but a call to action for the future. And as the continent pushes towards a more integrated and prosperous future, the message from the streets of Harare is clear. Africa Day remains as relevant today as it was over 6 decades ago. Talent Gore, ZCM Prime, Harare.
The Chitunguza community and school children also joined the country in celebrating Africa Day. The celebrations were held in line with Education 5.0, teaching learners an approach to learn about the importance of preserving African values. The celebrations were spearheaded by Simbarashe Junior School in the Ziko area.
So here we have all this, the kinds of the things that were used by their elders. So we are trying so much as the Education 5.0 and the education, the HBC. So we are trying. Some of them doesn't know even the mbira. We have the food that we used to eat. So we are going to tell them.
Our heritage, our culture. Semusikana tinofanira kunotsvaga shingarewo nezvekufashishiri apa nezvinotichengetedza zvine utano nezvatinofanira kuita.
Director of the school, Madzibaba Simbanengo Masha, says Africa Day is meant to empower children and help them stay connected to African culture.
Ngatirambe tichibatana tine vana vedu, ngatiranyisei vana vedu vachinyanyofarira zvechirungurungu, ngativadzosei muculture yedu Africa Day. Mwari akuitirei zvakanaka kune vese vana ndevedu, iwe neni baba naamai tine basa.
To unpack some of the issues around Africa Day, we are now joined by international relations analyst Gibson Nyikadzino. Now, Gibson, good evening to you. What do you consider to be the state of post-colonial Africa today vis-a-vis the founding principles of Pan-Africanism?
Good evening, viewers, and thank you for the pertinent question. I think the state of the post-colonial continent today, it is facing the biggest challenge that it is seeking to develop from the structures it inherited from a colonial legacy. So this is one biggest hindrance that we have in the continent, that we managed to survive colonialism, which was violent for many years, but we are failing to reverse the process in order to establish our own institutions that can ensure our own development. In as much as Africa Day is concerned, I think we are looking at the process in which we need a decolonized mind. Decolonization is also as violent as colonization, because we are trying to detach the mind of the formerly colonized way it was attached to the mind of the oppressor. So this is one thing I think we need to look at, revamp our systems, not to bank our development on structures that we inherited, which entirely were working towards the exploitation, exclusion, marginalization, and extraction of our resources.
Right, Gibson, now where do we go from now? With the new generation that is keeping on exploring opportunities outside Africa, leaving the continent without much skilled labor, where do we go from now?
I think there is still hope. We need to bite the bullet and think through about how we plan our initiatives and implementing all these initiatives with a common goal. The common goal being unity. because for quite a long time we've only been talking about unity as a theoretical idea, but it has not been translating to the practical intentions of the continental aspirations. So the gap that exists between the current leadership and the young generation should be premised on an intergenerational aspect of making things work. We need the leaders to continue guide the young generation in terms of how they can exploit the continent's great and vast opportunities to translate their skill into something that is practical for the continent. And also at the same time, we need to reconfigure our structures so that they speak only to address the challenges that we have. There is no need for us to be vessels thinking in Western terms when we are facing African challenges. So the idea is always we need African solutions to African challenges.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much for that, Gibson. Do stay with us. When we come back, we touch on some health matters.
Destination Hungary.
Europe's greatest stage awaits.
It's a game that really does underline the word champions. Parisian perfection.
Two giants remain as the eyes of the world turn to Budapest.
Oh, incredible!
Don't miss a moment with club football's biggest prize on the line.
Oh, wow! Have you ever seen football on this level?
Catch all the action on DSTV Access, only on SuperSport on DSTV.
They call me Racer X, or in this case, Racer J. All right.
Put your seatbelt on.
Welcome back. You are still watching Newsplus right here on ZTN Prime. Health experts have clarified that lenacapavir is not an HIV vaccine, but a preventative treatment aimed at reducing new HIV infections. The experts were speaking during a lenacapavir media training workshop organized by the Ministry of Health and Childcare in partnership with OFID and the Health Communicators Forum Zimbabwe, supported by the United States government. The training program brought together journalists to strengthen accurate reporting on emerging HIV prevention methods.
Health experts highlighted the need to address misconceptions surrounding the drug. Zimbabwe began rolling out lenacapavir in February this year after receiving an initial allocation of doses which were distributed across 12 sites in selected districts nationwide. OFID Technical Director Dr. Pagi Chimberegwa explained the difference between a vaccine and a drug, stressing that lenacapavir works as a preventive medication rather than stimulating the body's immune response like traditional vaccines.
No, it's not a vaccine. Remember, vaccine tati isusu tinokupa inodzidzisa body chiza yedu chirwere chacho chichaita sei chichauya handiti, but prevention chinogona kusatouya tingotya riski yekuti inouya tinokupa drug mushonga.
Yes, ndo zvanachirezvo
uritorimo system zvamava nevemalaria handitika.
Yes,
kuti uri kuenda kumalaria togara tokupa mushonga wemalaria kuti pano wotombopinda majems emalaria zvobva zvatodi zvobva zvarohwa nemushonga wedu.
Dr. Chimberegwa said misconceptions about the drug are contributing to confusion in communities despite the program's successful rollout. He said the most common misunderstanding is that lenacapavir is a vaccine.
And a vaccine, before the disease comes, you produce antibodies so that when the actual disease comes, your body quickly remembers and then actions on the disease faster before it causes some damage on you.
Authorities say improving public awareness will be key in ensuring the success of HIV prevention programs across the country. Talent Gore, ZTN Prime, Harare.
Now on to agriculture. Wheat farmers in Mashonaland West Province are on track for a strong winter season, with early planting and good crop establishment raising hopes for increased national food security as the country targets 125,000 hectares. We get more in the following report.
The positive outlook emerged during an assessment tour by the Minister of Agriculture, who visited farms across the province to evaluate progress in the winter wheat planting season. At one of the stops, the minister told Mount Camel Farm in Chegutu of Dr. Paul Tungwarara, special advisor to the president, and commended both the farm and other producers for planting on time to maximize yields.
Satapa 65,000 hectares zajarwa, 51% of the target. Taatine shuviro yokuti tisvike pa 75% of the target musi wa 31 May usati wasvika kuti goho redu rigobata 5.5-6 tons, vanogona kurima vanoenda kwama 8-9 tons per hectare.
Minister Masuka also noted the diversity of operations at the farm, which combines wheat production with other cash crops and livestock.
At this farm, I was very pleased to tour the farm to see the de-risking and diversification that is being undertaken here. So in terms of running an enterprise, in terms of managing risk, this diversification is a model that would encourage other farmers to learn from.
Speaking during the tour, the farmer applauded government support to indigenous farmers to achieve higher levels of productivity.
nevene vayo ndosaka mukuona mablacks akaita sesu tiri kuzvipira tichiteedzera mutungamiri wedu wenyika ari kuleader by example.
And also pledged to make Zimbabwe a food secure nation. Mashonaland West Province remains one of the key wheat producing provinces, contributing to Zimbabwe's push to reduce wheat imports and strengthen food security. Currently, the province has planted more than 60% of its 35,000 hectares target. Reporting for ZTN Prime in Chegutu, I'm Paddington Muguti.
Senior officials from SADC member states are expected to meet in Victoria Falls from tomorrow ahead of the regional ministerial meeting on agriculture, food security, fisheries and aquaculture set for the 29th of May. The engagements will focus on regional cooperation in fisheries management, aquaculture development and the blue economy. Director in the Ministry of Lands, Agriculture, Fisheries, Water and Rural Development, Obert Jiri, speaks.
So this SADC ministers meeting for the ministers responsible for agriculture and fisheries is critical for Zimbabwe. Certainly, we are going to see all the SADC member states congregating in Victoria Falls to look at agricultural issues and fisheries issues as they affect and as they roll out in the SADC region. It is critical that the SADC bloc plans together and look at all the issues together as we are in the common region where all the issues that affect agriculture and all the issues that impact agriculture must be looked at as a bloc to be able to come up with common responses and develop our agricultural sector together.
Do stay with us. Up next is Business News.
From 11 June to 19 July, everything can wait. The FIFA World Cup 2026. Catch all 104 matches from as little as $10. Live on SuperSport, only on DSTV.
Zimbabwe has won the bid to host the Inter-Africa Trade Fair Company in 2029, marking a major milestone for Zimbabwe and positioning the capital as a key hub for continental trade and investment. Speaking during the 2026 Second Provincial Development Committee meeting at Golden Conifer Hotel recently, the Deputy Chief Secretary for Finance, Administration and Human Resources in the Office of the President and Cabinet, Mr. Zvinetshimwe Churu, described the development as a significant economic breakthrough for the country.
So as we prepare to host the IATFCO, let's put our house in order. Remember, this will bring lots of business. This will bring lots of people. Put up restaurants all over the place, so that those who visit can partake of our cuisine. And we have quite a lot that we have to offer in that particular regard. My major message to colleagues here is, let's be ready to host the IATFCO. Let's not be found wanting.
Do stay with us for some sporting action. Four people have been arrested in connection with violence that rocked Chawanda Stadium in Kwekwe on Sunday, leading to the abandonment of the game between Hard Rock and Dynamos. In a statement, National Police spokesperson Commissioner Paul Nyati confirmed the arrest of Shingirai Chivavare, Matthias Taderera, Tavakuda Nyoni and Emmanuel Dube over the violence which resulted in the injury of several people. The police said the suspects were part of a group involved in violent disturbances which erupted after supporters from both teams reportedly hurled missiles at each other, invaded the pitch and engaged in fighting, resulting in the match being abandoned. Stadium infrastructure, including turnstiles and perimeter barricades, was also damaged during the skirmishes. Commissioner Nyati said they are also investigating the circumstances which led to nearly 5,000 soccer fans remaining outside the stadium during the time the match started, with some of them later on demanding infrastructure and gaining entrance into the stadium. The police have called on football authorities to ensure stadium seating capacity is not exceeded and tickets are pre-sold before the match to curtail stampede such as the one witnessed before the match at Chawanda Stadium. Zimbabwe football has once again been plunged into controversy after violent scenes forced the abandonment of the Casalaga Premier Soccer League clash between Hard Rock FC and Dynamos Stadium in Kwekwe on Sunday. The abandoned encounter was triggered outrage across the local football fraternity, with the Zimbabwe Football Associations strongly condemning the ugly incidents that disrupted the highly anticipated match. In a statement released on Monday, ZIFA described the violence and misconduct as a serious threat to image and progress of Zimbabwean football. The association backed the Premier Soccer League's decision to wait for official reports from match officials and the clubs before taking disciplinary action against those responsible for the disturbances. The chaotic scenes at Chawanda Stadium left supporters stunned, with fears growing over rising crowd trouble at local football matches. ZIFA warned that the violence has no place in the game and urged supporters to rally behind their teams peacefully, while reminding clubs of the responsibility to maintain order and security at stadiums. The football mother body also pledged to continue working with PSL clubs and security authorities to improve matchday safety and restore confidence in local football. We come to the end of our news bulletin this evening. My name is Marissa Miranda. Have pleasant viewing.
This show is